Okay, now let's start with number 5, part A. Based on document G, name the vessels that carry blood from the heart to the organs and the one that carry the blood from the organs to the heart. Let's look together at document G here. We can see that this is the heart. Okay, we have a blood vessels carrying blood away from the heart to the organs and vessels carrying blood from the organs into the heart. Okay, we're going to follow the arrows in order to know these vessels. The arrow shows us the direction of the blood. So first here we can follow the blood here. It goes through the aorta. This is the first vessel that carries the blood away from the heart to the organs. We have here another vessel also that carries the blood out from the heart to the lungs, which is the pulmonary artery. So now we have the aorta and the pulmonary artery, which are both arteries. So we can say that arteries carry the blood from the heart to other organs. While if we want to look at the other vessels that carry blood into the heart, first of all we have here the pulmonary vein. It's clear from the direction of the arrow that it carries blood from the lung to the heart. And we have the vena cava that carries blood from all the organs to the heart. So pulmonary vein and vena cava, which are both veins. So we can say in general, veins carry blood from the organs to the heart, while arteries carry blood from the heart to the organs. If we want to be more specific, we can say that the aorta carries the blood from the heart to the organs, while pulmonary artery carries blood from the heart to the lungs. Vena cava carries blood from the organs to the heart, while the pulmonary vein carries blood from the lungs to the heart. Now 5b. 5b says, indicate the pathway of blood that leaves the left ventricle, then returns to the same ventricle, draw out a conclusion. Here I want you to pay very much attention to what I'm going to say. It's not hard, just want to concentrate, and as I said before, we have to follow the arrows. Okay, if I want to start with the left ventricle, notice that they said that we want to trace the pathway of blood starting with the left ventricle, and we're going to end also in the left ventricle. We're going to see if this is correct or not. This is the left ventricle. Of course, if you didn't memorize the parts of the heart, you're going to have hard time solving this question in the exam. You have to memorize the parts of the heart really well. So we start with the left ventricle. It's connected to the aorta, so we go to the aorta. The aorta carries the blood, then it branches into arterioles, then to capillaries of organs, then the capillaries join to form the venules, and the vein, which is the vena cava. If I want to join all the veins together, we have the vena cava. We go to the right auricle, then to the right ventricle, then to the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery also divides into arterioles, blood capillaries, then they join to form venules, pulmonary vein, left auricle, and back to the left ventricle, the same point from which we started. Notice, if I look at what I drew, all the path, we notice that it's like a circle. It is a circuit. It is a closed circuit. Why is it closed? Because we started with a point and we ended in the same point. Okay? So if I want to answer the question, I can say that the pathway is left ventricle, aorta, arterioles, capillaries of organs, venules, vena cava, right auricle, right ventricle, pulmonary artery, arterioles, capillaries of lungs, venules, pulmonary vein, left auricle, and left ventricle. Notice we started with the left ventricle, we ended with the left ventricle. So we conclude that the blood circulates in a closed circuit of blood vessels in the body. Now, what if we started from the right ventricle? I don't want to start from left ventricle, I want to start from the right ventricle. We're going back to the figure, and let's start now from the right ventricle. We'll see if we will have the same ending. Okay, let's start with the right ventricle, then pulmonary artery, arterioles, capillaries of lungs, venules, pulmonary vein, left auricle, left ventricle, aorta, arterioles, again, capillaries of organs, venules, vena cava, right auricle, and right ventricle. So we ended up in the same point where we started. So no matter what, from where we start, we will end in the same place because the blood circulates in a closed circuit. So we can write, if we start from the right ventricle and draw the pathway, we will end also in the right ventricle. Don't forget to write these notes on your copybook. Pause the video and copy them. Now I want you just to look here before we go to part C. We notice that in your book on the document it says pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. What do we mean by these two terms? First, we talked about the complete circulation when the blood starts, for example, from the left ventricle and ends and rotates all around the body and goes back to the left ventricle. But if I want to divide the circulation into two parts, we can name them pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary is related to the lungs. So when we say pulmonary circulation, it is the circulation between the heart and the lungs only. If I want to talk about this circulation, it starts with the right ventricle, then pulmonary artery. Of course, here there are arterioles, capillaries of lungs, venules, pulmonary vein, and it goes to the left auricle. This is the pulmonary circulation. Notice how it's small because it's just between the heart and the lungs. So sometimes it's also called small circulation. Okay, so we can call it pulmonary or small circulation. Now, if I want to talk about the systemic circulation, from its name, systemic, from systems, it means the circulation between the heart and all the body organs. Okay, we will start the circulation with the left ventricle, then aorta, arterioles, capillaries of organs. Of course, we see here that the blood goes to many organs. Okay, capillaries of organs, venules, vena cava, right auricle, and right ventricle. Notice here also we have, it's not a closed circuit because we didn't take all the circuit, we just took the circulation between the heart and the organs. And it's large, as we notice here, so it's also called, other than systemic, we can call it large circulation. In order to understand it more, we can see this animation here. Okay, here we have the complete circulation. We see how the blood pumps, the heart pumps the blood, and maybe you didn't understand why the heart pumps in the first place. What does it contract? Teacher, blood, in order to circulate in these blood vessels, in order to move in the body, it needs pressure. It needs force that pushes this blood. It can't move on its own. That's why the heart has to contract to push the blood. Okay, so we notice how the heart pumps to push the blood all around the body. If I want to take only the pulmonary circulation, if we look here, okay, we see only the heart with the lungs. The heart pumps the blood. It goes through the pulmonary artery to the lungs where there will be exchange. Then the blood will return to the heart. This is the pulmonary circulation or the small circulation. Now, the big circulation or the systemic circulation, also we can see how the heart pumps the blood and the blood goes to all the body organs. It goes to the brain, to the muscles, liver, intestine, and other parts of the body. Okay, of course there is cellular gas exchange also taking place. So, if we go now to part C, the question says, in general, arteries carry blood with bright red color and veins blood with dark red color. Name two vessels that make an exception to the rule. If we want to look here at the diagram again, we notice that the arteries, okay, they carry bright red blood. If we go back to the previous lesson, the blood is bright red when it's rich in O2, while when it's poor in O2, it will be dark red. And as we know, the arteries, starting with the aorta, carry blood to the organs. This blood going to the organs has to be rich in O2. That's why its color is bright red. While if we talk about the vena cava and other veins that connect to the vena cava, they are carrying the blood from the organs after they've done the gas exchange. So now the blood is poor in O2 and rich in CO2. That's why the color of the blood will not be bright red, it will be dark red. But they said that there is an exception to the rule. There is an exception. Yani there are in the body there is one artery that carries dark red blood and one vein that carries bright red blood. If we look at the pulmonary circulation, notice here. The pulmonary artery, although it's an artery and all the arteries of the body carry oxygenated blood or bright red blood, we notice that it carries dark red blood. Why? Because this blood is coming from the organs. So it's rich in CO2 and poor in O2. So we can say that the pulmonary artery is the exception. It's the only artery that carries dark red blood. It carries blood poor in O2. While the pulmonary vein, which carries blood from the lungs to the heart, this blood is oxygenated. It comes after the gas exchange. So it's rich in O2. That's why its color is bright red. So we can say that pulmonary veins carry bright red blood, which is rich in O2, while pulmonary artery carries dark red blood, which is poor in O2.